This tool right here will turn any cheap circular saw into a track saw. This is called the Kreg Accu Cut. In this video, I'm going to explain what it is and why you might need one. First things first, let's talk about how to set it up and how to use it. It comes with these two pieces of track. If you need more track, you can buy more track pieces. You're looking for these arrows right here. Make sure those arrows are together and then flip it over. And it came with these bars right here. These just slide right in. If you're paying close attention, you'll see there's some slack here. That's not a good thing. Slide them all the way together. Put a straight edge against the two pieces to get the best possible alignment. The kit came with some tiny set screws. You want to put the set screws in loose and come back and tighten them down later. Okay, the track is together. To set it up, what I recommend that you do is go ahead and put the sled on the track and lay the track hanging off of a piece of material so you can drop the saw down into the material. Sled goes on, pull the guard back on the saw drops in. You want to butt the saw up against the sled and against the track at the same time. And then this piece right here, they say you want to pull it back a 32nd of an inch. I don't know what a 32nd of an inch is. I can't comprehend that. So I'm going to grab a setup block. My smallest setup block is a 16th of an inch. So to give you an idea of what kind of space we're talking about here, it's got to be half that setup block. The idea here is you're going to just trim the smallest hair off of that piece of plastic on the track. Now I'm going to pull the sled and the saw off the track. You want the saw up against the front of the sled here and up against your setup block here. I was able to raise my saw depth up high enough to clear my material down here so I don't have to fight with the saw while I'm setting this up. So if you can do that, do that. So now the idea here is I've got to slide the shoe up against this front fence and up against this stop block on this side over here. Now you just tighten down these set screws and you should be ready to make some sawdust. I've got a couple of pieces of foam insulation. I'm going to put those underneath this piece here. We're going to lay the track down. And the track has this grippy plastic on the underside that should keep it from moving. This piece slides into the track like that. And this piece is now going to serve as a way to make sure your cut is square. As long as these edges are square, you'll have a square cut. I don't think it's going to slide, but if you're worried about it sliding, you can always slap together a quick stop block. That's going to provide you some extra security. Set the saw depth so it cuts just through your material and not much more. All right, if I've done this right, it's just a matter of sliding into these slots like so. And when the blade gets to that blue strip, it should bump into it and take off just a smidge of it. Let me get you in close so you can see. There we go. The blade is just going to take off like a kerf of the blade. Now I'm going to pop in the battery. The battery's been out the entire time. Safety third. I made a few test cuts off camera. Everything was working fine, but then I noticed something. Off camera, I scribed a line along the rip cut. And what I want you to notice is right here, you can't see the line because I cut right on the line. You can see a little bit of the pencil mark here. But right here you can see that the cut was just slightly proud of that pencil mark. Right here further down, the cut just barely grazed the pencil mark. So I don't end up with a consistent cut. The saw kind of wobbled. How big of a difference is that? I'm at about 5 13/16 of an inch. Here at the beginning of the cut, it's closer to 6 inches. Here's a spot in the middle where I cut through most of the pencil mark. Looks like 5 7/8. Depending on where on the cut, we're off by as much as 3/16 of an inch. You can see here I can wiggle the sled. So there's slop in the track, and I noticed there's some slop in the saw. The issue here is that slop can be off a 1/16 of an inch one way, a 1/16 of an inch another way, and that gives you an 1/8 of an inch of error. So this is not a precision instrument, and I'm a little bit disappointed. So what you want to do is put a small amount of constant pressure to the right or to the left so you get a constant non-wavy cut. My initial conclusion here is that this is not a precision woodworking tool. What it is good for is rough cuts, for breaking down material so that you can take it to a better tool in order to make precision cuts, which is fine because that's why I bought it. I'm working on a very big project that's going to take 3 entire sheets of MDF. My usual process is to get a rough idea of my measurements, run to Home Depot, have them break it into pieces with their panel saw, but this time I need to make a whole bunch of extra cuts. Most of the time the people at Home Depot were close enough. This time, because I'm trying to get a lot of parts out of my MDF, I need more precision. The guys at Home Depot will be off 1/4 inch and they regularly cut things that aren't square. What I'm gonna do for this project is I'm gonna grab my big sheet of MDF over here. I'm gonna use this to break it down to smaller pieces that I can put over on the CNC machine. So let me set that up and we'll see how well it works as a tool for rough cutting. Earlier I said this is not a precision tool. The best use case is probably breaking down large sheets so that you can take them over to the table saw. Let me show you what I mean. For that last piece, I needed something about 52 inches. Then I took that big piece and took over to the table saw to cut some more precise pieces. And this is what's left, just to give you an idea how bad this was. So that's 5/16. And you can see just how much wider it gets as you move down to this other side. This right here is 13/16, and that is frustrating. How in the world did that happen? Looking back at the footage, you can see that I used a couple of squares to make sure that the track was at a perfect 90-degree angle, that it was squared. My first thought was that the track must have drifted while I was making the cut, but looking back over the footage, I'm not seeing the track shift at all during the cut. Doing a little bit of math, if I've got half an inch drift over a 49-inch long cut, that tells me that I'm out of square by only half a degree. A half a degree doesn't look like much, but over a long distance, that half a degree is really going to compound. And if you were to spring for some extra track and try to do a full rip across an entire 97-inch long sheet, you're going to be off by an entire inch by the time you're done. How did this happen? Was it user error? Was the piece out of square to begin with? I don't know, but this did not get me a reliable cut with the accuracy that I need. If the factory edges themselves were out of square, then a better track saw wouldn't necessarily fix that problem. I've never had a bad experience with a Kreg product. This one just falls a little short. Without some extra effort on your part, it's not going to cut square right out of the box. My recommendation is to take some extra steps to make sure that it is going to be perfectly square. Consider fashioning some type of clamp to go on the far end. If you wanted to do that, the track can accept standard 1/4-20 bolts. As an alternative, consider this one right here from Milescraft. This version comes with clamps. But if your goal is to just rough cut so that you don't have to drag around big heavy pieces of MDF, this is fine. Another alternative is to consider this one from Ryobi. It is more expensive than the one from Milescraft or the one from Kreg, but it comes with a saw. That saw has a dust port and a riving knife, so it is an upgrade from a standard circular saw. Another option would be to clamp your square in place. Before I go, I want to say thank you to all of my patrons over on Patreon, with a big bonus shout out to Brian W., Brian S., Joe, and Bo. I'm Justin. This is the DIY Audio Guy YouTube channel, and I will see you on the next adventure.